Hi guys, my name is Nasiba and you're welcome to another video. So today I want to talk about an international artist and I'm actually pretty excited about it because I love Ghanaian music, I love African music, but I also listen to international music a lot, especially American music. And I wouldn't necessarily say she's my favorite artist. There was an album that she released last year that was just so good that I just like I can't help but have to talk about it. So today we're talking about Eternal Sunshine by Ariana Grande. 2024 was fun and full for music lovers, especially for those who love pop music. There were so many moments we didn't see coming. Beyonce announced Cowboy Carter during the Super Bowl in a commercial nonetheless.
Okay, they ready. Drop the new music.
Taylor Swift went to announce her 11th studio album, The Tortured Poets Department, at the Grammys, which was shocking in more ways than one. Brat by Charlie XCX was an absolute phenomenon, and I'm still surprised that I enjoyed an album like that. Sabrina, Billie, all of them had albums that blew up that year. And then of course, hip-hop gave us the most fun beef of our generation, Kendrick versus Drake. But I think the moment that caught me off guard the most was when Eternal Sunshine was announced. This was not long after an infidelity scandal involving Ariana and another actor took over Western pop culture. And I had to endure pop culture subreddits coming to the conclusion that Ariana was no doubt a homewrecker and dragging her every time the topic came up. And I say endure because Reddit is full of judgmental people that act like they're touching some sort of grass because they're not on Twitter when we're all social media addicts. So, no judgment. But the wife of her alleged boyfriend came out and said, yeah, something fishy happened. It was bad for Ariana and worse for her fans because I'm sure she cares a lot less than them because she has a whole song titled Break Up With Your Girlfriend. I'm bored. There's even a song titled The Boy Is Mine on this very album. People disliked Ariana to the point where I think they refused to like the album or admit that it was good because of the homewrecker allegations. The internet tends to default to not liking everything about a woman once they find one thing to dislike about her, especially when they feel morally justified. People were even having a hard time admitting that Wicked, a movie she played a supporting actress role in, was good. Even though it really was. Like, one thing about pop culture audiences, they'll hate a woman and all her auxiliaries if she does something wrong. And yes, the I support women's rights and wrongs is mainly reserved for when a woman does something against a straight man, which is kind of problematic in the grand scheme of anti-patriarchy, but it's also harmless in the same context. On 8th March 2024, Ariana released Eternal Sunshine. Eternal Sunshine, the standard version, has 13 tracks and spans 36 minutes. The extended version, Eternal Sunshine Brighter Days Ahead, which was released a few weeks ago on 28th March, spans 56 minutes with 19 tracks in total. So it's a pretty short album, I would say. Now, when I was going into the album, the first time I was listening to the album, I thought to myself, this is my first time listening to an Ariana album in real time. I wasn't really sure what to expect, but I was hopeful that I was going to love it. And I did. And it's interesting because out of all the albums that were released in 2024, even including albums that were released by my faves, who are Beyonce, even Taylor Swift, I do not like those albums as much as I love Eternal Sunshine, even though I am like a casual fan of Ariana Grande. So today I wanted to explore the reasons why I love this album so much and why it's really the only album from 2024 that I still listen to front to back. Concision. The album has little to no noise, and by that I mean it's not littered with additives it doesn't need. Every song, every lyric serves a satisfying purpose. Even songs like Bye, which I could have done without in the broader scheme of the album. It's probably the song that I skip the most, but I wouldn't argue that it's redundant or filler. The album's lyrics don't beat about the bush. She doesn't say so much just to say so little. She says enough to say enough. And we know in conversations of lyricism and songwriting, Ariana barely comes up because she's more of a vocalist. So I knew not to expect deep, poetic lyrics from her. But I genuinely didn't expect such simple and straightforward writing to touch me so deeply. Eternal Sunshine doesn't over-explain itself. You either take it or leave it. The length of the standard version supports this argument I am making. It has 13 songs and the songs are between 3 to 4 minutes long. Some of the best songs on the album are less than 3 minutes. Bye, Supernatural, True Story and The Boy Is Mine are all under 3 minutes long. But at no point have I felt like they left something to be desired. I think about a song like But Daddy I Love Him, for example, and I compare it to a song like Yes End, which are both responses to the media and especially, just fan bases in general attacking or pushing back against an action of a pop girl. For example, in Taylor Swift's case, she was dating someone and they didn't like it. In Ariana's case too, like she was being accused of being a homewrecker. And per my interpretation, both of these songs are in response to that pushback that they both got. So, But Daddy I Love Him is really just about Taylor saying, I don't care about these people. I'm going to marry this boy. I'm having his baby. And then the Yes End is like literally Ariana says, why do you care so much who I ride? So it's in response to these people telling them that they don't care. But I feel like But Daddy I Love Him over explains itself. Whereas Yes End is more of a, so what? I'm doing what I want, mind your business. But Daddy I Love Him has like this weird songwriting structure where she tries to fit too many words into a certain melody and it doesn't work. And I really would have loved this song if it wasn't just for how wordy it was. It was trying to be a pop song without, in my opinion, the concision of the songwriting in pop music. This was one of those cases where the less said, the more that is actually conveyed. And talking about True Story, there's so many other songs like it where she employs brevity but clarity as well. Like she is direct and clear in her messaging and brief with it, but also it doesn't really take away from how well it is written or how great it is produced. It's not overwritten or underwritten, it's just enough. And there's so many songs like that on the album. I feel like Eternal Sunshine, the title track, does that. Imperfect for You, The Boy Is Mine, like I said. Even Don't Wanna Break Up Again is a great example of this. Coherence. Everything that was meant to connected. Some albums tend to suffer from having a gap between what is intended and what is delivered. And there are a number of Ariana's albums that after a few listens I just felt like she made them just to put music out. This album is not one of them. From the title of the album being a reference to the movie Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, but not just that. The fact that the theme of the album, which is that of letting go, healing and moving on, stays true to this reference. From the music video of We Can't Be Friends, in which Ariana goes to a clinic to erase her memory so that she can restart life on a fresh note after heartbreak, to lyrics that directly mention or allude to forgetting and moving on in the album. For example, in the bridge and outro of the title track Eternal Sunshine, she sings these incisive words: won't break, can't shake, this fate, rewrite, deep breath, tight chest, life death, rewind. My interpretation of these lines is that she's accepting her fate, but she won't let it break her. She will just start over again with deep breaths despite the tightening in her chest. Life is just a cycle. One thing ends, you start again. Speaking of Eternal Sunshine, the song, I want to highlight that it plays its role as a title track really well. It summarizes the general sentiment and message of the album. In the song, Ariana explores hers and her lover's perspective on the end of their marriage. They may have both betrayed their partnership, but by that time, they seem to have both lost interest in the marriage. They longed for other people or were probably already involved with them, which is why I think she sings, so now we play our separate scenes. Now she's in my bed and laying on your chest. Now I'm in my head wondering how it ends. And in the next pre-hook she sings, so now we play our separate scenes. Now he's in your bed and laying on my chest. Now I'm in my head wondering how it ends. Basically, the album to me is about a marriage that was dead before it ended. And the couple, or at least one party, who in this case would be Ariana, has no hard feelings about it and is just happy to move on. And I think Eternal Sunshine as a title track captures this very well. The album does not over-rely on its lore. There was so much that happened before and I guess during the recording of this album. The album was made within a span of I think 7 months or less, according to some revelations that Ariana made herself. She said about the album, "As soon as the strike ended, I came here and I did a week with Max Martin," she's talking about the studio, "and then I came every day by myself for a while, and then we did another week in October, so this is all pretty fast. I wanted to bring my family in and play it for you guys so that we could all be thinking about what to do, because in my dream world, the first half of next year, 2024, could be this." So the album was made around the time she was being rumored to have had an affair with her co-star on Wicked, Ethan Slater, who was married with a baby at that time. Her divorce had also been finalized around this time. Eternal Sunshine, based on my interpretation, was written about these events that occurred. But I think that's where she left it. She could have used the marketing of the album to make implications, allusions, that could direct the audience's mind to make certain deductions and conclusions about what or who the album was about and what they did. But she did not play into that. That's not to say that the fans didn't come to certain conclusions by themselves. But with how toxic stan culture and parasocialism in music consumption is these days, and really how that can bring commercial success in the attention economy, she could have capitalized on that. She went as far as putting out a statement to check her fans when they started bullying people they assumed the album was about. She could have easily kept mute and just had the discourse continue to bring attention to the music so it could sell. Now, it's not that I think that Ariana is virtuous or anything, and I'm not bringing up this point to compliment her necessarily, but I'm trying to say that it made the album more enjoyable for me to not go on the internet every day and have people talk about, oh, this verse that she mentioned or this thing that she mentioned, well, it's about her and her boyfriend or like her ex-husband during this day, and this is what she was wearing, this is what was happening. Like, just nice to not have there be so much discourse outside of the music that is not about the music but more so about her personal life in relation to the music. I don't like that. I haven't enjoyed this new culture of discourse about music that hyper focuses on the very personal lives of the musicians, when we could really just talk more in general and just apply it to our lives. And I feel like some musicians themselves play into that as like a marketing tactic just to get more people to talk about the music. The album itself is not that self-referential. It manages to be vague, thereby allowing listeners to come to their own interpretations without compromising on some amount of detailed storytelling. Production and great songwriting. This album's production is impeccable. From the very first listen, I knew I was in for a great sonic experience. The engineering on the album made it so that you could hear the subtleties that would go unheard with bad mixing. The way she plays with genres from different pop eras like True Story and The Boy Is Mine with the 90s 2000s inspo, Yes and Bye, even We Can't Be Friends, which has this dreamy pop sound, are all 80s disco inspired. She gives us contemporary R&B with songs like Ordinary Things, Eternal Sunshine, even Supernatural, which is more dream pop now that I think about it. Listening to Supernatural for the first time, I literally ascended. There's only so much I can say about the production. Just listen to the album, and if you love a good production, I think you will appreciate what they did with this album. When I say songwriting, I don't just mean the lyrics and how poetic they are, even though Eternal Sunshine has some interesting lyrics. Every now and then, something cuts deep like, this is a true story about all the lies you fantasized about you and I. It's a nice oxymoron. The imagery in the song, I wish I hated you, with hang on my clothes in the closet you made, your shoes still in boxes, I send them your way. Like, I could just picture that scene that she's setting with those lyrics. I also do love the alliteration in clothes and closets. Eternal Sunshine has the best song composition in all of Ariana's discography in my opinion. The melodies are so sweet and beautiful, and like I said before, none felt overwritten or underwritten. Even I Wish I Hated You, which is very short. Its brevity is to me like a short moment you take to feel those emotions in the final stage of a heartbreak journey. Putting out this album was quite daring, and it's even more daring to me that she had songs like Yes End, which was the first single, and The Boy Is Mine on the album, considering her reputation as an alleged homewrecker, was the main topic of pop culture around that time. She seemed very creatively involved in the album, and I guess pretty much oversaw what the final product would be. So the final material was what she wanted it to be. So these songs, like for example, The Boy Is Mine and Yes and We Can't Be Friends, them making it to the album, that she didn't care. And I appreciate that about the album, because if the music makes sense to you, if the message that you're putting out makes sense to you, if that's enough for you, you just put it out there boldly. Extended storytelling in the visuals that tied back beautifully to the album. Ariana in a Catwoman costume is funny, and I can't take it seriously, but she does make for a cute stalker and ultimate kidnapper. The Boy Is Mine music video goes full villain mode. She embraces the negative image that had been projected onto her by the media by way of playing a character obsessed with a man and ends up kidnapping him to feed him a love potion so that she can have him fall in love with her. In the end, which I think is a beautiful twist, he sees her face and falls in love with her willingly. Lesson to learn here is that your face card is the best love potion. The most interesting part of this video is the cameo that Monica and Brandy, the singers of the original The Boy Is Mine song, which Ariana's version pays homage to or takes inspiration from. This ended up being an Easter egg because the two were featured in the remix of Ariana's The Boy Is Mine. She essentially just gave them the song to sing because she was barely in there. I think it's the best case of giving living legends their flowers we have had in a while. We Can't Be Friends was the second single. Its video came out with the album, and it is the best music video released this era. Its reference to the movie Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind was executed brilliantly. Ariana goes to a clinic called Brighter Days to erase her memories with her lover. The sentiment of having to erase someone from your life so you can feel light again is gut-wrenching. We watch Peaches, a character played by Ariana, go through all her memories with her ex and one by one erases them. What's interesting about this video is that the song does not quite relate with the story of the video as far as my interpretation. The song is about how the media paints and turns around to be friendly to her when it benefits them. She sings, "You cling to your papers and pens. Wait until you like me again. I'll wait for your love." Yes End is another song that touches on the media and the controversy of that time. Speaking about Yes End, it was the first single of the album and pre-release with a video. It opens with a few people in an elevator talking about the state of Ariana's career and image and how displeased they both are with her. One person says, with so much entitlement might I add, "I don't want happy, I want art." Another says, "I think I liked her better when her ponytail was a few centimeters higher." She also shades internet gossip, misinformation, and how people believe anything without verification. In another interaction between two people, one asks, "Oh my god, did she really do that?" And the other answers, "Well, I read it on the internet, so it must be true." I love how she subtly but directly calls out digital tabloid culture as well as its consumers. Because quick shortcut ways of information consumption has created a direct path to brain rot, in my opinion. Most people who consume information do not take their time with it or ask questions. Everything is short form and dense or oversimplified. So we have a generation that's so easy to manipulate and lie to. Disclaimer. I'm not saying that Ariana is some sort of beacon of truth. I'm not saying that everything that comes out of her mouth is true. But one thing that we do know is that we don't know that much about these people that we wake up every day to talk about, whose personal lives we wake up every day to talk about. It makes sense to me that the media as well as the consumers of media will take that into consideration and be a bit more measured in some of the conclusions that they come to or some of the things that they imply or projections that they make in the news that they report. For my final point, I think that this album is nuanced and grounded. Eternal Sunshine carries and conveys a refreshing perspective on breakup and heartache that I haven't seen in pop music in a while. Ariana explores the pitfalls of a relationship she doesn't necessarily regret, but is just in disbelief it happened. This is from the song Twilight on the extended version of the album. In another song, I Wish I Hated You, she sings, "Hoping life brings you no new pain. I wish I hated you. Wish you were worse to me. Wish I was worse to you." I think these lyrics capture the grey of heartbreak. It's not always that one person is the offender and the other is the offended. Sometimes it's somewhere in the middle, and both parties did something that hurt the other. Maybe one more than the other, but not so much that they'd be the villain. Even if it was an offender-offended kind of dynamic, I respect that she had a progressive outlook on the relationship instead of hyper-focusing on the fact that her partner did her wrong. I say this not because I think people should suck it up and move on, even though at some point they probably should. Unless they were in an abusive relationship, I can't judge that at all. I just appreciate when the narrator doesn't overindulge in a certain emotional state or viewpoint, because then I get tired and uninspired as a listener. She also explores other ways that she has been a villain or painted as one, not just towards her partner, but in the media as well. She doesn't really take accountability, however, for the reputation that is being associated with her. She just leans into it and turns it into satire. In conclusion, this is to me Ariana's best album. After listening to so many albums, I have come to the realization that these are like the points that I made in this video are the metrics that I use to measure what a good album is, or what like my favorite, what I love about an album. So the coherence, the cohesion, the audacity to even release the album, the storytelling, the music production, like how the music contributes to the story that's being told, how different it is, or how like innovative the music is. All of those things contribute to me loving an album. And one of my favorite albums, like in my top 10, is Evermore by Taylor Swift, and I think that it also fits into these criteria that I have made up in my mind. And I do hope that one day I can talk about Taylor Swift's Evermore, so subscribe and you might catch me talking about that album. Thanks for watching.